Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, when and wherever you are. As you can see by the title of the video, today I'm going to be talking about the digital ID and the ID card. Now, this might turn into a lengthy video, but I'm going to try to summarize things both from a legal point of view and a political point of view in the sense of personal freedoms versus the organization of the state. But I am going to try to be simple about it. I'm going to try to explain things in a clear way. I'm going to use the example of my country, Portugal. But you have to understand that the type of model that we follow in terms of identification is absolutely similar to what you see in Spain or in France or in Germany or pretty much around continental Europe. Okay? Now, first of all, I'm going to talk about the state. Uh, I have noticed that in countries like the United Kingdom, like the United States, and a couple of more around the world, people view the state, the government, let's call it like this, as an exterior entity to themselves, to society, to their families and friends, to all the let's call it human and non-human elements that compose the society. Human elements are the people, whoever they are, whatever they do. Non-human elements would be, for example, businesses, okay, uh, the land, the property, all of that, okay. The first thing you have to understand is the way that we see the state here. The state here is composed by the citizens. Okay? Non-human, human, you understand? From the previous explanation, everything. The state is everything. Absolutely everything. For example, Portugal is composed by the continental landmass where our country is located, and it's also composed by the Atlantic Islands, the Azores, or Azores, like you say, archipelago, and the Madeira Island archipelago that is composed by Madeira Island, by Porto Santo, and Selvagens. Okay, this is the Portuguese state. This is what it is composed by. Okay, and also by the citizens, those that live inside our borders and those that are immigrated abroad, or even those that are descendant of Portuguese, but that have retained their nationality. All of these people, if they are of legal age, 18 years old, they can vote. They can participate in the state. It doesn't matter if a person is immigrated in Switzerland or in the United States or in Germany, whatever the person is, okay? That person can vote and can participate in the matters of the state because this roots back to the perspective of the republic in which, even from Greek times, from what a republic is that citizens take the decisions of the state. We elect representatives that are a manifestation of our will. This is also the reason why we have PR, proportional representation, because whatever the will of the citizens is, it needs to be respected. Okay? So if we as citizens make bad decisions, well, then we have to take the consequences of our bad decisions. We are all adults that vote, and we need to be mindful in of whom we vote for and what we do with the state's organization itself. Okay? Why am I explaining to you all of this if I'm going to talk about the ID cards? Okay. ID cards have always existed in the history of our republic and even before when we were a monarchy. Okay, I don't recall right now uh, for how long ID cards have existed, but it's like they have always existed. And the reason for this is very simple because it's a practical way to solve a lot of bureaucratic matters that you, as a citizen, need to solve. So, was something that we collectively all decided to have. And some people will say, oh, it was the kings or the Republicans that decided to have this and that. And no, it's a simple matter of this. I, as a citizen, for example, I have diverse bloodlines. Okay, I've spoken often about this. I have no problems talking about it. I have German and French blood, more German. Okay, but they all came here. They all married German. Yes, some of them were German, and they already yeah, okay. They married Portuguese people. Okay, uh, they are Portuguese. They became Portuguese citizens, and they became a part of the republic as citizens of that state. And to have that document for us, it's not a motive of chain. It's not a leash. It's not a brand. It's not the sign of the beast or whatever. I have even heard that. It has nothing to do with that. It's completely separated from politics in that sense, from religion, from all of that. That is a document that says that I have a name, I my parents were this and this, and my great grandparents were this and this. Okay? But right now in the ID, only the only thing that appears is your name, the name of your parents, your date of birth, your height. This was the proto biometric identification. Hmm? Your height and where you're from, and then it has your data. It has your ID number, your what we call our civil number, as civilian, as a member of the state, as a citizen. Okay, it has your tax number. It also has your social security identification, and it also has the I think it also has the number of your health center number. Okay, whatever. It has all of that data. And why is this? Because it's the quickest way to identify myself. It's not very easy to forge it. In fact, I would say it's nearly impossible. Our ID has a chip that you can use to identify yourself by touch. Okay, you can choose not to have it activated. Me, for example, I don't have it activated. Okay, so this means that the chip only works when I use a card reader to access certain documents, like for example, to ask for a criminal record, which is basically a record of your criminal history. If you don't have any criminal history, nothing will appear. For example, I can ask it online, and then, but just for not to complicate it too much, that document is it just serves for that to identify yourselves. This means that you don't have situations like, for example, in the United States, when someone is asked, when a police officer asks the person to identify himself, There is no driver's license to identify. You can identify yourself with the driver's license if you don't have any other document. Okay, you can also identify yourself with a passport. And I'm just talking about citizens. Okay, we will talk about the foreigners and the immigrants further down the line. Okay, for now, let's just stick to this. There is nothing like that, okay? If someone asks my name, the police officer explains, I need to know your name because of this or because of that. I just show my ID card, okay? There it is, my date, okay? And there is no more discussions. There is no more questions, okay? I go into a public service and I need to identify myself. I show my ID card, okay? Simple as that. More than anything, it's a simple thing. I will also explain the laws about protection of data and all of that. But for now, let's just stick to this so that you can understand and not make assumptions. Okay. Now, this ID card has been evolving as the years go by. When I was a kid, it was a big thing. Okay, twice the size of a credit card or something like that. Okay. As the years went by, it became small, and right now I won't show mine here, of course, but it now is just as small as a debit card. One of those cards that use it at the ATM to pick up cash, whatever, or make payments. It's as small as that. And right now, you can even have it a digital representation of that card on your cell phone. Simple as that. And you can identify yourselves with that. Because we instead of being stuck in the past and stuck at ways of thinking that I think that are primitive. This is my opinion, okay? Don't understand primitive as calling you that don't like ID cards or don't believe in it or whatever, calling you primitive or whatever that is. No, for me, it's a primitive way of thinking because you have to evolve with technology. Okay, you have to adapt to it because it's not going away. If you think the technology is going to go away, it's not going to go away. Okay, it will continue to evolve, and we as humans, we are an adaptive species, and we will evolve. Okay, so right now, with this document, for example, here in the EU, I can travel from Lisbon to Warsaw, and I just need my ID card. If I'm going to travel, it's always I can always, and it's advisable to do so. I can get online. Online, it's a simple thing. Okay, you can ask. I can ask for, and it takes a few days, I think. You can ask for a health digital card, health card for the EU. Okay, this is a card that allows me that, for example, imagine that I feel sick in France and I have to go to a hospital. I will pay the same thing as a French person in my economic situation would pay if he would pay for that service. And more than that, I can identify myself so that both both health systems, for example, the French health system spent X amount of money uh, to help me. Okay, so they can, with my number and my registration and all of that, they ask the Portuguese health center to pay them because as I am paying with my taxes to my health system to have health care, so are the French citizens paying to for their health sorry for their health system. Okay, they're paying taxes just like me. So it's a matter of balancing things out. But with this simple ID card, For example, I am on the street in Poland, and a police officer, for whatever reasons, he's doing his job. He needs, sir, please identify yourself. I take out my ID card. It's also in English. I show it to the police officer, and he can see what is my name, what is my nationality, okay, and even where I'm from. Simple as that. It's a very simple thing. This is one of the reasons why the UK lost so much tourists from Europe. Because it's seldom a European needs a passport. We only get passports because most of Europeans, if we have the opportunity to do so, we travel. Okay? We are not like other nations. I won't mention names. I don't want to offend anyone that thinks that their country is the world. For, for me, I will be honest with you. I won't talk about where I have been or whatever, but right now, you know what I really like is, for example, to just make sure I have all the documents in my car, grab my ID card, my driver's license. Okay, you always have to be. I will talk about this too. You have to have all your documents, and I just travel over the border to Spain. I go to Andalusia. I like the landscapes. Okay, I like the monuments. Granada is a beautiful city. For example, there's a lot of pretty places to visit in Spain. Even if you're just driving by, okay, even if you're just driving and seeing the scenery and all of that, beautiful places to see. This is more or less what I do right now, both for financial and time reasons. Now, but the issue here is that we are having an ID card. Look, it's as simple as this. For example, a Spanish citizen needs the document that I was talking about. He needs a criminal record to present at his employment. He's working here in Portugal, any European citizen can live in Portugal, okay, and vice versa. If I meet the parameters, let's okay, the conditions, whatever you want to call it, I can just pick up my shit one day and decide I want to go and live in Spain. And I go, or France or Germany. Okay. This is one of the reasons why, for example, I have not applied for my German citizenship. Okay. Because I simply don't need it. Because I can go to Germany whenever I want. I can visit I won't talk about if I have or I don't have family in Germany. I don't want to talk about that. Okay. Sorry, but there are certain details you should not share online. But I can go there, and I can also go to Poland. This I can share from East Prussia, where my family was from. Okay, I can go there. I can visit if I want to. I can even go and live there if I meet the parameters of the country I'm going to. Okay, this is not. All countries still have sovereignty, and all countries still have their laws, and they all have to be respected. Okay, but this is as simple as this, and a Polish person can decide, oh, I want to live in Portugal, I'd like Lisbon, I want to go and live in Lisbon. And that person can come here and live in Lisbon. And no one, he can pay his taxes here or in Poland, for example. Around here, what type of taxes will that person have to pay? For example, property tax on on his house or on his car, whatever. And the usual things, for example, if the person is working, then he will have to pay the taxes to the healthcare and all of that. But there will be no friction amongst that. And this is why the U is such a good idea, and why when people start to do bad mouthing the EU, uh, I frankly just tell them to shut up, shut up, just shut up, don't be an idiot. because countries do not lose vanity for cooperating. And this is something that a lot of people in the United Kingdom, for example, do not understand. They cannot understand this idea because their idea of state is different from our idea too. Okay? And some people say, oh, you don't have individuality. No, we have more individuality than you because we are all considered citizens. We have duties and we also have rights. Okay, well, look, around here, a cop has to explain to you why he is, for example, identifying you. And my only duty as a citizen is to respect him as he has to respect me and identify myself. And it's no big deal for us, okay? Any Portuguese citizen, you get out of the house, you have your wallet, okay? You have your. Some people don't even walk around with money anymore because most of the things you can pay with a card or even with a cell phone, with a phone, okay? And sir, well, you want to, and you can even. Sorry, office. This is an app that the person has in his cell phone. All the data is there. It has several fail safes to avoid uh, anyone copying it or using it or whatever. But here myself, I don't have my ID card, officer, but I have my digital ID card. Here it is, and you identify yourself. Now, why does this system work here? Because before we had things like the ID card and the digital card and these evolutions that I've been talking about in the ID card, before we had all of this, we had laws that protect our data, hash laws. The same laws that when I made that video about the House Commission on the they were talking about Europe. I don't really know why because they are bloody Americans. This is why I was so disgusted with those people because they want to freely access my data, our data. And around here, it is strictly forbidden. Around here, except in very extraordinary and rare situations, no, you cannot access a citizen's cell phone, even if you are a police officer, even if you are an authority. No, you have to justify why you need to access the phone. If the person says yes and lets you, that's a different thing. If the person says no, you have to get a court, a judge, to decide if you can see that cell phone or not. When they are putting taps on criminals here, the entire process is the equivalent to the DA, to the District Attorney's Office, what we call here Ministério Público. Okay, they have a magistrate and people that work with him, of course, and then they are investigating someone. The police is investigating someone, and they say to the magistrate, "Sir, we need to we need to investigate this person, and for that we need to pin his cell phone or whatever. We need to monitor his calls." And the district attorney listens to that, and if it's something that needs the judge approval, he sends the case file to the judge. And remember, these are urgent matters, so it's not a matter of days, it's a matter of hours. Okay, he sends it to the judge sees it, the judge has to take into account the law, the protection data law, the constitution, the constitutional rights, some rights that cannot be waived, for example, and he says, yes, you can investigate this person. And then, for the purposes of the investigation, only the data that is relevant for the investigation is kept in the case file to which only the interested parties have an access to. Okay? This means that, for example, imagine that the guy that has been stealing cars is talking with his girlfriend and talking about the wonderful weekend that they had. Okay? That will not be a part of the case file if it's not relevant to the investigation. They won't use it. They will use the part that they require and only that. And you say, oh, but the cops can talk and that and that. Well, the issue here is this. This is something that you need to understand because it's about the same in the rest of Europe. Everyone has their own systems, but each time, for example, at the state tax office, any court, any police officer, and even any magistrate that accesses your data, their name is recorded. So this means, like the example that I was giving a couple of videos ago, talking about something I don't recall. Imagine that there is a girl that works, March. March works in the DMV, and she can access the data of anyone due to a job. And Max, a friend, he wants to beat up Antonia because he doesn't like Antonio. Okay, maybe Antonio stole his girlfriend or whatever. So Max is a friend of Marge, and he goes and says, Marge, the name of the guy is this and that, and he lives here. Access, access in your data and tell me where the guy lives. And Marge does it because she likes Max. Max is a mate of her. And she accesses that data, and her name is there. Max finds out the address of Antonio, kicks his ass. Antonio goes to the police and complains, and then they start to investigate. Now, Max doesn't want to betray his good friend Marge, but the police officers and the court investigate the matter, and they discover that Max went down to the DMV or whatever, and he talked with Marge. Then they go to investigate Marge, and they see that Marge went and she accessed the data of Antonio. Well, Marge is in trouble. And you have to understand these recordings, they stay in a closed algorithm. What does this mean? This means that no one can change these access. Okay, it's you can only add things to the data. You cannot remove things from the data. Even when a person, for example, this happens often. A person is convicted for a small a small offense. For example, like uh, driving under the influence or driving without a license. Small things. I'm not talking about big offenses. And that person wants to continue to work. And imagine that the person works in something that has where that conviction has absolutely no influence. For example, imagine that that person works in a warehouse storing boxes. And the person asks the court to please do not transcribe this to my criminal record for work purposes. So, whenever that person is going to ask for a criminal record, which is asked often, when the person asks for the criminal record, that offense will not appear for that specific subject. But, for example, if a police or a court is looking into the criminal record, that offense will appear. Okay. But there is a constant worry of protecting the data, of having strong laws, because this has nothing to do with control. This has to do with rights. my right as a citizen to access services in a quick way, in an inexpensive way, and avoid all of these confusions that you see, for example, in the United States when you're watching those cop movies or whatever. Look, if it was around here and you didn't have a driver's license, there wouldn't even be a discussion. You don't have a driver's license, then you can't drive. Oh, I have a driver's license, but I don't have it here right now. Okay, here's a fine, and you have X amount of days. I don't recall how many days it is. I think it's a week or 2 weeks or 15 days or something like that. I don't recall right now. Here is your fine, and you cannot drive that car. You don't have a license. Good day. Get out. No discussion. Why? Because that person to drive, mandatorily, that person needs to have their ID card and their driver's license. And we also have access, digital access to all the services of the state. Okay? You have a key that is personal to you, and you can ask for another, you can alter it, you can do whatever you need to do. You have a cell phone number that is yours, that you can give your cell number to. If you lose your cell phone or whatever, or you change your number, you just go there and you alter it, and you can receive all the information that you need. I'm talking about things like, for example, going into the healthcare app and ask for prescriptions for the drugs that you take every month, for example, and that you just need them, and they send it to you, and you can print it, or with your phone you can go to the pharmacy. They scan the IC code, and they you understand, and you can make your tax tax revenue, okay, your tax declaration every year. You can pay your taxes. You can do a lot of things online. All of this with the ID card, the digital ID card, and your normal ID card, okay? And all of these ways of identify yourselves before the state. And this only works because we have strong laws. So, before you start to have the discussion about the ID cards, you should have a discussion about the laws that are behind it. Because this is extremely important. Because only when, with strong laws behind it can you apply this system. Look, Europe, like for example Japan, like for example Korea, like for example China, we are an eminently legalist system, meaning to have clear law that everyone can understand and that is not subjected to bends and curves and in freestyle interpretations and all of that. Okay, this is the type of law that you need because it's the most effective. Okay, I often laugh when people say that the German system in Europe or French system or whatever you want to, it's too it's too bureaucratic and it's this. It's not bureaucratic. Okay, it's legal. And having an ID card, instead of enslaving you, like some people seem to understand it, I really don't understand why. Because if you have a cell phone, any government can know where you are. Okay. If they have your biometrics, they can also know where you are. If they have cameras, they can know where you are. It's rather scarily simple because they can control you, and it's not the ID card that's going to change that. But what the ID card does is give you all these freedoms, all of this logic that is behind it. But like I said, I will emphasize this particular part. You need to have strong laws behind it, and the laws here for the leak of personal data or for the misuse of personal data It's extremely harsh. It's jail time, okay? It's jail time and suspensions of work, a lot of things, okay? So people here, they need to be very careful about it, about divulging personal data, okay? Just for you to understand. Now, foreigners here. Any foreigner here with a temporary or a permanent uh, authorization to be here, when they arrive, first of all, right now with the new laws, I think they need to have a place to work and a place to stay, okay, a way of sustaining themselves. And they need to present documents like criminal records, all of a lot of documents. Okay, I maybe I will talk about this in another video. And then they receive something that we call a permit, an authorization of residence. Let's call it like this because it's what we call authorization de residência. And in that card, people also have about the same data as we have. And that card then for that people, for those persons, it works exactly like our ID card. The difference is that, for example, the people cannot vote, they cannot work in state departments. Okay, there's a there is a difference, of course, between the citizen and a foreigner, naturally. Okay, but that card serves the same purpose as ours: to identify yourself, okay, to ask for documents or whatever. And now some foreigners with permanent residence, they even have a form of an ID card too, which only an authority knows that it's different from a national citizen's ID card. And this is all to reduce friction and to have as less of a trouble as we can, because it's the purpose of it. Okay, it's a practical effect. And why is it important to have an ID card? Imagine this: in the United States, all citizens, national, would have to have an ID card, and all foreigners would have to have an authorization of residence. This would mean that, like here, you could sanction people that employ illegals. This, in the United Kingdom, the same thing. You could control better who is in your country with an authorization, with ID card and a residence permit. It would be look, and it can be, and you can make it in any form that you want. For example, like Starmer was talking about a digital ID card. Why not? It will be it will be easier, it will be cheaper, and that way a citizen could simply identify himself. And a foreigner would have to have that document enabled to work. Like here, for example, imagine this: some guy is employing illegals. The state makes often, sometimes even intrusive, inspections all of the time, especially in workplaces. They are constantly and by surprise going into companies and investigating and asking for the paperwork. If everything is all right, everything is all right. If there is a problem, there is a big problem. And the first thing that they will ask, identification of the employees, okay, and they go into places where sometimes there is more foreigners working, like for example in farming or whatever, your documents. And if that person, for example, if that person is illegal, he won't have a tax number, he won't have a health center, a health a healthcare number. He won't have a permanent a residence of a permit of an authorization of residence number. That person will be illegal. That person would be treated as an illegal alien. Okay? And the usual way is this: if the person leaves voluntarily, that person can then get out of the country and then reapply to enter in the country via a legal road. If they are told to leave and they don't, if they are catched again, and it's easy given the system to catch them again, and besides that, this is not that big of a country, okay? But if they are catched again, they can be even permanently expelled from ever entering the country again. So it's better for the illegal. My kitty came to visit. So it's better for the illegal to take care of their business and to be have everything legal because they know if they are illegals, sooner or later they're going to be caught. It can be a traffic stop. It can be they are working and someone comes, an official comes to the workplace to do their job of fiscalizing things, of surveying things, whatever. And for the employee, it's even, for the employer, sorry, it's even worse because that person will be in a world of pain. What can happen to that person? The employer can be jailed, can be fined, their business may be closed down, or all of this can happen. And that employer will also go into a dark list, and he may be even stopped, okay, forbade from ever owning a business again. She wants her treat. So the consequences to breaking the law are extremely harsh. It's just like polluting. For example, a business that pollutes here, we don't look. It's not the people unless there is a clear negligence. Now she's investigating the computer. There is a clear negligence. Unless there's a clear negligence of the employee, the person that will be sanctioned is the person that is giving the orders, the employer. Okay, and it doesn't matter who or she is. Okay, or if it's a big company or not. Look, recently there was a case of an infection by a Legionnaires disease, and the business was closed down. And the owners, they were in court. I don't know if they were fined or if they were jailed, but I recall a situation of a guy that owned a factory to process pig carcasses and all of that. Okay, to make sausages, a meat factory. Okay, and that it was the second time that that guy, that company's guy, had polluted a nearby river. Second time he was jailed. And I also remember the case of another woman that owned land that she cut protected she cut some trees where a protected kind of bird was nesting. Okay, she did that, and then she tried to hide it or whatever. All I know is that she took 6 years of jail for that little joke. People here, they don't mess around. Okay, sometimes it may take a bit because, as you can see, people have a lot of rights, as they should, at least in my opinion. It's better to have a lot of rights than to have none. But an ID card, this type of identification, it only works if you have a system of laws like we have here. It does not work. It does not work if you have a system of laws like you have, for example, in the United Kingdom. This is why when Starmer start to talk about the digital ID card, I understand what he wants, and I agree with him. Sorry, I agree with him, but I'm worried because where are the laws like the ones that we have here to protect to protect the data of the citizens? And more important than that, who who is going to be able to access the data of the British citizens? It's a legitimate question. Now, if Starmer, when he starts to apply the law, he applied this, when he starts to apply this system, if he, I'm not saying copy, adapts the laws that we have here to the United Kingdom, then it will be a great way of solving a lot of issues in the United Kingdom. Because, for example, the government will be able to issue a law as simple as this. From now on, the employers, okay, a person to work, you need to be registered in the tax office, you need to have your digital ID card. This is the only way you can work, okay? And then the employers, they continue to do the same thing and let them work and whatever. Her Majesty's services arrive. This guy is not legal, and you're employing him. Up to jail you go. Simple as this, okay? And some people will say, oh, this is going to stifle my freedom. Why do I have to identify myself to vote? No, look, I know why the Tories did that little joke of presenting an identification to vote, but the reason is very simple. What do you prefer? Do you prefer a system where, even if it's marginal, people can forge things such as elections or whatever, or identify themselves as someone that they are not? Do you prefer a system like that, where it's basically a honor-based system, or do you prefer a system where you have a card and you simply present it? Case closed. When I go to vote, I take my voting card, but I think you just need your ID card right now. But I take my voter's card, I take my ID card, I arrive at the ballot, okay? I identify myself, they take my identification, they gave me the ballot, I go into the booth, I vote. I think in some places already we have the digital system, but I go, I vote, I fold it, I put it in the urn, they give me back my identification, it is done, okay? The only thing you need to say is good day, hello, how are you, or something like that to be polite. It's quick. I don't need to stand there and say, my name is blah blah blah. I live blah 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 blah. This is my voting district is blah blah blah. I don't need to do bullshit about that. Okay. For example, around here, it's in in one of the schools. Okay, I go. There is a board number X to Y. It's where I need to go, and they say, for example, my name is, I don't know, 900 or something like that. I go to the respective room. There it is. I identify myself. I vote and I get out. Voting here is quick. It's simple, okay, and no one can contest the result of the voting, because was everyone identified themselves with the ID card, and in this case with a voting card. A simple system, a quick system, and more than that, an important way of avoiding issues like countries that don't have this system have. And it's also a way of controlling the people that are inside of your country. It's also a way to control your citizens. Look, America has a lot of mass shootings. If you had a system like this, it would be much easier to identify people. Of course, you will say, oh, I'm going to lose my freedom and I have rights and this. Of course, you have rights and you have duties as a citizen of a republic. And when I'm talking about republic, I'm not talking about American Republicans. That is another thing. It has nothing to do with the true republic. A true republic is what I explained to you in the beginning when I gave a quick intro about what a republic is. A republic, a state, is composed by the citizens, whoever they are, and we identify ourselves as such, and we have rights as such. But look, I hope this video has at least helped you to understand how the system of the ID card works. Um, if you want to ask me questions in the comment sections, I will answer as I can. I'm sorry, but I sometimes get a bit lost in other things, and I don't go that often to the comment sections. I apologize. Okay, it's not because I don't want to answer your comment or whatever. It's simply because I sometimes get lost in other things, and I don't go as often as I can to read the comments. But if you have any questions, please pose them. And again, keep this in mind. To have a system with an ID card, with a digital ID card, to have this system, you need to have laws behind it to protect the personal data of the person. And to have these fail-safes of, for example, registering every person or entity that accesses your personal data. Everyone. I don't care who it is, okay? It can be a judge, it can be a police officer, it can be a DA, magistrate, anyone, okay? It's registered, it's there. And for the future, you will be able to know who accessed your data. Why? Because it's your data and you are the citizen. Even if you're a criminal, you are a citizen. And I sometimes, it baffles me, like listening to Americans talking about the mark of the beast and putting in the Bible. And I think we already had this discussion before, but do you realize when the Bible was written? To what type of people was the Bible preaching? Think about that. You had to, even Jesus, if you are a Christian, you believe in that, even Jesus, when preaching, he used stories to explain important questions. Like, for example, the question of humanity, the question of the basis of his faith, of not being a bastard to other people, of bringing God to all the people of the world, to bring that peace, to bring understanding. He had to use stories, and so did the apostles. They had to use stories because they were talking with people that were 19% of them, or 80%, in the Roman Empire. A lot of people could read and write, mostly in Greek, ironically, but they were talking with people that were essentially, look, imagine someone that doesn't know how to read or write, okay? These were the people they were talking to. So you had to create stories, and now to hear, oh, you will have a brand in your hand, and then the day, oh, okay, it's the realm of the devil. Are you are you fucking nuts? Sorry, are you fucking nuts? Do you believe in such a thing? Instead of being afraid of devils, you should be afraid of bad people. Look, and I'm not talking about if that exists or it doesn't exist. If you believe in it, well, good for you. Okay, I don't care. I don't care. I respect you. Let me just say this from the start. I respect. But to confuse a simple thing as a bloody ID card with some kind of attack at your at your sovereignty, at your rights and whatever. It's not attacking your rights; it's giving you more rights. But you have to have the laws behind it to keep the people that have access to your data from fucking it up, from selling your data to American companies, for example, in the United Kingdom. But has the NHS already, haven't they already sold your data? It's a question that I make. Answer in the comments below. Okay, this video has been long enough. If it's needed or if more people have questions about it or whatever, I will make another one. And sorry for taking so long, okay? But there's a lot to dig in this. Well, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to catch you all in the next one. And please be safe, okay? Especially if you are in America, have patience, okay? And stay safe.